Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here. We have some new Star Trek Discovery to talk about once again. At the end of Discovery's previous episode, Into the Forest I Go, the Starship Discovery finds itself in an unknown location, and no idea how they got there. It seems that Captain Lorca brought them there, maybe on purpose, maybe not. Not quite sure about that one yet. And in this past week's episode, we get a story that has a lot of Star Trek fans buzzing. I think it's only appropriate that we do something a little different with this episode. So introducing Kertrats Productions' drinking game for the episode Despite Yourself. So here are the rules. You have to take a drink every time you shout something at the screen, every time there's a laugh out loud moment in the episode, anytime there's a humorous reaction shot, and there are more than a few in this episode, every time a fan theory is confirmed, anytime that the so-called true fans are going to lose their minds, anytime there's a really cool continuity reference, and of course you will have to finish your drink when you just can't wait for it to be next Sunday again. I want to take this moment to note that Kertrats Productions does not encourage drinking to excess. Please drink your chosen beverage responsibly. In fact, in order to make things go a little smoother, you might want to just drink prune juice.
Warrior's drink.
But of course, that may present problems in and of itself. Without further ado, here is my review and recap of Star Trek Discovery Season 1, Episode 10, Despite Yourself. So, right off the bat, we get a continuity reference when we learn that Starbase 46 is located near the planet Organia, a world that features in the TOS episode that first introduced the Klingons, Errand of Mercy. We then learn that Discovery is not in their own universe, but in a different quantum reality. The crew learns this by using the same method that the TNG crew uses in the episode Parallels to determine that Worf is not from their universe. Soon a Vulcan cruiser approaches and ends up firing on the Discovery. A communication from another nearby ship, seemingly a Federation starship named the Cooper, proclaims the Vulcans to be rebels. And it soon becomes apparent that they are in the Mirror Universe, first seen in the TOS episode Mirror Mirror in their Season 2. Definitely a minor fan theory, so you should probably take a drink for that. And also, when I watched this episode, I said, "Aha, cool," at the screen, so there's another drink. Upon their realization that they are not in the correct universe, they realize that since they haven't sent the Klingon cloak-breaking algorithm back to Starfleet yet, it's imperative that they get back as soon as possible to prevent Starfleet from losing the war. Burnham suggests that they examine the navigational logs more closely, and Lorca cuts her off, saying that they have pushed Stamets too hard. I think he's trying to cover something up, personally. In sickbay, Paul Stamets is seemingly delirious, talking what seems to be nonsense about a palace, and assaulting Culber when he gets too close. Culber puts Stamets behind a force field for his own protection, and he and Tilly try to work out what has happened to him. Lieutenant Tyler departs the Discovery in a worker bee to recover a damaged data core among the wreckage of the ships that surround Discovery. During the mission, he once again falls victim to a PTSD attack, flashing back to the torture at the hands of the Klingons. However, he is just barely able to overcome this to complete the mission. Captain Lorca notices that he is very distracted during the mission and also notes that it is affecting Burnham as well. Interestingly, although the debris is Klingon, they discover Vulcan and Andorian bodies among the wreckage. After completing the mission, Tyler goes immediately to the brig to confront L'Rell, proclaiming that she can't hurt him anymore. L'Rell convinces Tyler to lower the force field, and while the force field is down, she begins reciting a Klingon prayer that we first heard in the episode Battle at the Binary Stars. And when Tyler responds, it's in a very familiar voice. I'm going to call it right here, fan theory confirmed, Lieutenant Tyler is in fact the Klingon Vok. Take a drink, and if you're me, take a second drink, because I yelled at the screen. However, it soon becomes clear that while this moment was meant to awaken Vok in Tyler, it seems that it only half succeeded, and Tyler flits in and out of awareness as Vok. This is not what L'Rell expected, and it's clear that something has gone seriously awry with her plan. From the data recovered from the Klingon ship, Burnham briefs the senior staff about where Discovery finds itself. It turns out that we are in fact in the Mirror Universe, as surmised earlier, in a universe that is ruled by not a federation, but the Terran Empire. It seems that the Andorians, Vulcans, and Klingons are allied as rebels against this empire. Of particular note to me is how Burnham describes the Empire as racist and xenophobic, and that those feelings ultimately emanate from an intense fear of the other. This is something that I've always felt is the case with bigots and racists and xenophobic people, that ultimately what it comes down to is their paralyzing fear of anything different. And I really like that this is the position that is taken by the writers of Discovery and Burnham here as well. On the bridge, Saru surmises that the Discovery of this universe was in fact replaced by the Discovery from our universe. So, to me, it seems that the ISS Discovery from the Mirror Universe might be in the Prime Universe right now running amok, and I'm personally very curious as to what they're up to right now. Meanwhile, the ISS Cooper approaches and hails Discovery, threatening to destroy them unless they answer the hail immediately. Lorca is about to respond, but Burnham informs him that he is not the captain of Discovery in this universe. It turns out, foreshadowed by Stamets' comments in an earlier episode of Discovery, the captain of Discovery in this universe is Captain Tilly. I have to take a drink here because I definitely exclaimed out loud when I saw this. Tilly takes the captain's chair and responds to the Cooper's hail, and this is quite possibly the biggest laugh out loud moment I've had in Star Trek in recent memory, and definitely a drink has to be taken here.
Hello, this is Captain Tilly. What the hell? What the hell? Hold your horses!
And humorous reaction shot from Kayla Detmer, an eye roll from Burnham, and then this look from Captain Lorca, which by my count makes 3 additional drinks from this scene alone. In order to turn the conversation back to Captain Lorca, Tilly introduces him as her chief engineer, and I would say that Lorca's use of a Scottish brogue here both is a laugh out loud moment for the people that I watched it with, as well as, I'm going to say, a good continuity reference with the obvious nod to the man himself, Scotty. So I'm going to say 2 drinks here as well. In order to work undercover in the Mirror Universe, Lorca orders uniform changes and cosmetic changes to the ship in order to blend in and take the role of the alternate Discovery. This includes coaching Captain Tilly, known by a number of other nicknames, including
Captain Killy. Well, that's not very clever.
Which to me was another laugh out loud moment, take a drink, in how to act as their mirror counterparts. And this is pretty amazing, and I have to say the costume design here is incredible. However, if you feel that the true fans, again that's in quotes, are going to lose their minds over the women's uniforms not bearing the midriff, take a drink. Personally, I love the design. I think it is top-notch, and probably the most believable Mirror Universe designs we've gotten. Burnham discovers that in this universe, both she and Captain Lorca are apparently killed. Lorca was a rebel against the Emperor and was apparently killed when the ISS Biran was destroyed also in this universe. And Burnham, who was captain of the ISS Shenzhou in this reality, is presumed dead, killed by Lorca himself. Interestingly, Lorca says he was hoping that he would find a better version of himself over here. That really goes to show you what he thinks of himself, and it's apparent that he is definitely suffering. In the records from the Klingon vessel, Lorca discovers that another Federation starship has made its way into the Mirror Universe in the past, albeit from the future. He discovers the USS Defiant, which of course is from the 2-part episode from Enterprise, In a Mirror Darkly. Now, this was an audible shout at the screen by me as well, because I was really impressed that they are bringing in the continuity from that. And also, I hate to say it, but this will be another true fans losing their minds, because the Defiant does not look exactly the same as we remember her. Now, In my opinion, it seems like after having been in the mirror universe for 100 years, it's very likely that it's been refit a number of times by the mirror universe Terran Empire, and that could account for why it looks differently. Or this could just be the way that Constitution-class ships look in the kind of visually reimagined world of Discovery. Either way, I'm mostly okay with it. I kind of hope it's option A over option B, but based on reaction online, there are definitely a large contingent of fans out there of the true fan persuasion who really do not like this decision. So this to me is a 2-drink moment. Lorca intends to discover how it was that the Defiant made it to this universe and replicate that to get back to the correct universe. After all, since the Defiant is a Constitution-class ship and not equipped with a spore drive like the Discovery, it's clear that it got here by a different means. The plan is to return to the USS Shenzhou as their mirror universe counterparts, Burnham taking the role of Captain Burnham from this universe, bringing Lorca, shamed and disgraced, as her prisoner. She will then use the information in the Shenzhou's databanks to discover how the Defiant was able to cross universes and hopefully use that information to return Discovery to where she belongs. Meanwhile, Ash Tyler will accompany them as Burnham's personal guard. Tyler, meanwhile, is concerned about his status as a crew member of Discovery, and obviously rightfully so he goes to Culber to try and discover if there is anything medically that may have been missed when he first came aboard. Culber assures him that they were quite thorough in their examination of him. Obviously, however, they weren't, but he does agree to perform more tests to set his mind at ease. While Tyler undergoes his scans a few meters away, Culber checks in on Lieutenant Stamets when he starts yelling more incoherent things about the palace. Culber leans down, kisses Stamets, and briefly Stamets' eyes clear. He says to Culber, "Be careful, the enemy is here," before his eyes cloud over once again, and he returns to the state he was in before. Tilly has prepared for her role as captain of the ISS Enterprise. She strides onto the bridge and orders Mr. Bryce to hail the USS Shenzhou, punctuating it with a well-timed "now." This attracts the attention of Ensign Reese, who we saw in an earlier episode attempting to kiss Tilly at a party, and I think this reaction shot definitely qualifies as humorous, and I would take a drink here. It turns out that the current captain of the Shenzhou is Connor, who we knew in the first 2 episodes of Discovery as the ops officer aboard the Shenzhou. He's the guy that was blown out into space near the brig when the ship was being attacked by Klingons. I have to say it's really cool to see Sam Bartholomeos again as Connor. I really liked his brief turn in those episodes, and I was very disappointed that he was killed so quickly. So it's really great that they got him back for this role. Also, this entire scene where Tilly is communicating with Captain Connor is really good, and it's very clear that Tilly has been coached quite well to deal with her role as captain. She carries herself with amazing confidence, and it is really cool to see her come into her own in this role. Mary Wiseman does a really great job playing this role, and I have to say props to her, and also props to great direction from director Jonathan Frakes.
Is that how you treat your long-lost captain? If you greeted me that way, Connor, I'd cut out your tongue and use it to lick my boots.
Nomination for Best Tilly Line Ever. Before heading to the transporter room to join the mission, Tyler stops by sickbay to check in with Dr. Culber. It seems Dr. Culber has found something, evidence of extensive surgeries done to Tyler's organs and bones. When confronted by this information, Tyler advances on Culber, and unfortunately, it seems that Tyler has killed Dr. Culber. This is a huge blow to me personally watching this. I was blown away by this and very, very saddened. So many drinks to be had here. One, because I yelled at the screen when he was killed. Another one just because I needed a drink to deal with it. And a third drink to pour on the ground for poor Dr. Culber. This was truly a huge WTF moment in this episode for me. As Tyler looks up from Culber's lifeless body, he gazes over at Paul Stamets, who says, whispered, "The enemy is here." The Shenzhou arrives, and Burnham, Lorca, and Tyler beam over, and Burnham quickly assumes authority over the ship. After dropping Lorca off with security to be installed properly, Connor and Burnham take a turbolift to the bridge, where it soon becomes apparent that Connor is not quite willing to relinquish command to Burnham so easily. He makes an attempt on her life, and in an amazingly choreographed scene in which they fight for control in this turbolift, this scene is beautiful, and the direction by Frakes is incredible. This is one of my favorite fight scenes in all of Star Trek, and this is just a wonderfully shot scene. Huge props to everyone involved. Burnham gains the upper hand and kills Connor just as they arrive on the bridge. It's clear that Burnham is very conflicted by killing Connor, seeing the same person die in front of her again. But there's no time to grieve as she arrives on the bridge and takes control of the Shenzhou. Her arrival on the bridge is greeted by applause, and it's very clear that Connor has not been a good captain to these people. Burnham takes her place in the command chair. They proclaim, "Long live the Empire," and Shenzhou warps away. I'm going to insert a new rule for taking a drink here. I'm going to take a drink because I have to forget that I saw this guy look directly at the camera during this scene. That's not a good mistake to have, and it surprises me that this was the best take that they had. Oh man, dude, don't do that. In the captain's quarters, Burnham is surprised by Lieutenant Tyler. The two of them share an intimate moment, with Burnham completely unaware of what Tyler has done, and possibly Tyler unaware of what he has done himself. It's not clear if he remembers when he's Vok. I don't think that he does, based on what we see earlier with him and L'Rell in the cell. So I'm really not sure what to make of Tyler at this moment. Every time I see him on screen, I loathe him for what he has done to Culber, but he may really not be in control of his actions at all. I guess it remains to be seen what happens with him. Also, in this scene, he reminds us that he knows the codes to everybody's room on Discovery, which, is at this point a very scary thought. Meanwhile, below decks, in an agonizer booth, Captain Lorca endures torture and pain as the episode ends. And finally, with this episode cutting away to the end credits, you can tip your mug's bottom to the sky and drain it, because if you're like me, you really want it to be next Sunday already. What the heck is going to happen? Will Vok/Tyler be found out? How will the crew react when they find out what has happened to Culber? Will they discover that it was in fact their beloved chief of security? And who else from the Mirror Universe will they encounter? Personally, my money is on Michelle Yeoh's Philippa Georgiou as the faceless, nameless emperor that was hinted at in this episode. With regards to Dr. Culber, in After Trek and various other interviews, Wilson Cruz, the actor that plays him, or possibly played him, has said that this is not the end of the road for that character. And I'm really curious to see how they're going to undo this. The loss of Culber truly was a gut punch. I really hate to see that character go, and it also plays into some unfortunate tropes that rear their ugly heads in various TV shows that I won't really get into here, but hopefully this really isn't the end for Dr. Culber and we will see him again. I love that character, and I love the dynamic between him and Stamets, so I really hope to see that continue. A truly top-notch episode of Discovery. Despite Yourself had me saying once again, best episode yet. And this is a refrain that I've said for many episodes in the past, and one that I personally hope I will be able to say at least 5 more times in the next couple of months. Huge props to Jonathan Frakes. Great to see him back with Star Trek behind the camera. I really hope that he gets more gigs directing Star Trek Discovery in Season 2. So now I want to hear what you thought of Star Trek Discovery Episode 10, Despite Yourself. Please leave a comment in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I do read all of the comments, so I will be sure to see yours if you do comment. I'd love to hear your opinion. In the meantime, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you feel so inclined, please help us out by supporting the channel on Patreon. There's a link both here and in the description below. Even just a little bit helps. helps, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, but until then, live long and prosper.